A popular Sesame Street doll? Or a malicious toy intended to harm the mind of an innocent child? No matter your age, I'm sure you have heard of Elmo. His bright red fur, huge white eyes, and distinctive strut. What if I told you the production of one particular Elmo doll went terribly into the hands of an unsuspecting mother who accidentally welcomed something sinister into her? Christmas has passed. A young boy called James is still infatuated with one of his presents. Its red fur, big orange nose, and huge white eyes is the nostalgic Say My Name Elmo doll. The bright colors are already obsessed with anything Elmo related. He had a huge collection of Elmo merchandise that scattered across his home. So, the Say My Name Elmo doll was the perfect gift for him. All you needed to do was tell Elmo your name, and he would repeat it. It seemed innocent enough at first, but nothing about this story is sweet. After James's mother Melissa had programmed the doll, it seemed to malfunction. Instead of repeating James's name, it let out almost a human-like groan. The doll's glitch appeared to be fixed as soon as Melissa changed the batteries. So, James took the doll and went off to play. It wasn't long before he reappeared. He came back repeating everything the doll was saying. Melissa was distraught with the new phrase this doll had taught her son, but 2-year-old James was oblivious to the threats the doll was making. At first, Melissa was delighted her son had such a fascination with this big-eyed monster. That changed in an instant. You can only imagine her horror when she heard this seemingly sweet doll and her 2-year-old son repeating such a threatening message so nonchalant every time he slightly pressed on the teddy's stomach. Kill James. Obviously, a 2-year-old cannot grasp the extent of this message. To James, it was simply just another doll. It wasn't unusual for Melissa to tuck her son in each night before erratically tidying his huge Elmo collection that was taking over her house. But that night she sat on the sofa with the new Elmo to make sure what she heard wasn't just her imagination. She gripped the teddy's stomach, and once again, in its high-pitched voice, it said, "Kill James." Melissa was stunned. She sat perfectly still as the same message repeated over and over. She could not just disregard what this doll was telling her to do. The sleepless night, the fear that this message is permanently ingrained in her son's head, Melissa was distraught. She had to get rid of it, but James adored his doll, so it wasn't going to be easy. Throwing it away and pretending it didn't happen wasn't an option. All she thought was, what if this is happening to another child? What if someone is so sick that they do exactly what the doll tells them? Her mind couldn't stop thinking of the possibilities of something terrible happening. So the next morning, she contacted the news. James and Melissa's story became just another news report on the evil toys you shouldn't buy for your children. You're probably wondering why and how this doll came up with such a phrase. There are a lot of conspiracies and opinions shared on how this could have happened, but the true reason is simply a mystery. What we do know is Melissa was given the opportunity to exchange the cursed Elmo doll for another, hopefully not as cursed doll. Whether Melissa accepted this proposal from the company is unknown. However, I am sure her house is no longer overrun by the little red monsters.